Hi, everyone. This is Raquel.
Hi, and this is Jennifer.
Welcome to Madness Cafe.
This is a feminist podcast where we talk about women's issues, politics, and health and wellness.
And where those issues intersect. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. It is November, which is Alzheimer's Awareness Month. So today's episode is about Alzheimer's. So I will start, as I always do, with some facts about Alzheimer's. More than 6 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's. By 2050, this number is projected to rise to nearly 13 million. Almost 2/3 of Americans with Alzheimer's are women. More than 11 million Americans provide unpaid care for people with Alzheimer's or other dementias. In 2020, these caregivers provided an estimated 15.3 billion hours of care, valued at nearly $257 billion. About 1 in 3 caregivers is age 65 or over. Approximately 2/3 of caregivers are women. More specifically, over 1/3 of dementia caregivers are daughters. Approximately 1/4 of dementia caregivers are sandwich generation caregivers, meaning that they care for not only an aging parent, but also for children under age 18. Of the total lifetime cost of caring for someone with dementia, 70% is borne by families, either through out-of-pocket health and long-term care expenses or from the value of unpaid care. So for those of you who've been listening to the pod for a little while, you know that Jennifer's mom has Alzheimer's. We are also joined by 2 other women, Jackie and Markysha, whose moms also have Alzheimer's. These 3 lovely ladies have agreed so graciously to discuss their experiences with Alzheimer's, with their mom's conditions. So ladies, thank you so very much for being here and for sharing your stories with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so first question that I want to ask, actually of all 3 of you, so that we can get a feel for who your moms are as people, who they were before this diagnosis. If the 3 of you can each give us a bit of an idea of what your moms were like before the diagnosis and before things started to change for them.
Sure. This is Jennifer. I'll go first to kind of set the tone. You all know my mom has Alzheimer's. What you don't know is my mom was always kooky. I mean, sometimes I wonder if she had Alzheimer's her whole life. I'm not kidding you. My mom was always the one who everybody wanted to come hang at my house because my mom really never had a clue of what was going on. And that's for real. But on the other side, my mom is the kind of person who, if you liked her shirt, she would take it off her back and give it to you. She was that kind of person. And she was really involved with her church. She was a minister and she was a prayer chaplain. And so many people have contacted me and said what my mom means to them. So she was social, she was involved, she did yoga up until just recently. She was connected. It was kind of shocking, actually, that she got Alzheimer's.
Markysha, what about you? What about your mom?
My mom has been basically the smartest woman I've ever met. She was valedictorian in high school, raising 3 kids. She got her nursing degree. Any homework problems, my mom knew how to do it. Superwoman. And yeah, like Jennifer was saying, she was very social as well. Always loved to go dancing with her friends. And she's the person who got me exposed to outdoor events and hiking and having picnics, which are still some of my favorite things to do. And she was always very spontaneous. So I get that off from her. Traveling, that's her all day. So yeah, she was, and still is actually to a certain extent, very much so that kind of personality that just likes to have a good time.
Perfect. Jackie, how about you?
So my mom is okay. It's too early to cry.
No, not too early.
Yep, no judgment.
Anyway, she taught me how to be a woman. She taught me how to be a woman. She taught me how to be a mother, a wife. And she was always just full of life. She heavily involved in church. She was an organist. She had many friends. She was married to my dad for over 30 some years before he passed away. She showed me, that you are an independent woman. You do independent things, but yet you can have a mate as well. She was funky. And I guess, the thing is, what kind of threw me with this Alzheimer's is that just took her in a whole total different direction.
Mhm.
She was always happy-go-lucky, just energetic, always liked to do things. She traveled, she was involved in things. I mean, she had so many friends. Everybody loved her. She was, the neighborhood mom, that kind of thing. So it has thrown me for a loop, but that's how she was. And
Right.
thankfully, she still knows us.
Okay.
Meaning the immediate family and my siblings. She recognizes people on the phone. Oh, yeah, hi, I don't know if she really remembers them or not, but she makes them feel like she remembers them. And that's how she was. I mean, she loves you, and she's a loving person.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so difficult about this disease.
Right.
To me, it just makes her be a wholly different person.
Wow.
100%.
When did you all first notice that something was not right, that things were changing with your moms?
For me, it was my mom wouldn't come see me and my girls. She would like make excuses and she would say, oh, I'm too busy. I mean, it's funny that it's Halloween because my mom was here every Halloween, sitting by the fire, trick-or-treating. She would be here on Christmas Eve, helping Santa Claus get the presents ready, wrapping things, dance recitals. She would come for everything, but all of a sudden she wouldn't come over. And I took it kind of personally. I didn't really know why she wouldn't come over. But then the other thing that I really noticed is that I would talk to her on the telephone every day.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of kid that still calls my mom, or called my mom every day on my way to work. And the conversations were getting weird. They didn't always make sense, or she would stop mid-thought and start a new sentence. And then the final kind of thing, people started to call me and say, there's something wrong with your mom. There's something not right. Like her financial advisor that she had known for years. They went to church together. She called and said, your mom isn't, there's something, you got to come. So her friends really looked out for her and said, there's something, but nobody, we didn't know what it was. We had no idea at that point.
Wow.
Yeah.
My mom's, so she, prior to her diagnosis, she had been living with me already. But I guess when I realized it was pretty much when she would just kind of get into a loop with her questions. She was asking the same thing pretty rapidly. And I'm like, at first I'm like, hey, Ma, you just asked me that. Don't you remember you asked me that? And she'd play it off. Oh, yeah, I did. I was just seeing what you're saying, But it's so crazy, like as the years progress in my world, I'm going further and further back from before that moment. And I'm saying, was this possibly a symptom? So she was a nurse, a registered nurse, but she also became a teacher at a college. I remember her constantly trying to figure out and understand how to use some of the computer systems.
Uh-huh.
She was having a hard time grasping it. And I was like, it doesn't seem like it should take her this long. But at that point, I didn't realize until looking back that was probably some of the early signs. And even with her becoming more detached from friends, I'm still not quite sure about it, but I just know that these things were my mom's normal behavior, but those changed around this age. And being that she was diagnosed officially around 65, I mean, she was teaching around between 55 to around that time. I'm not sure.
Okay. So she was maybe like self-isolating a little bit and kind of making her world a little smaller.
Yes. I mean, she was still going out. She was still exercising and doing those things. But just looking back, it seems as if there were some changes that I didn't pick up on until after the fact.
Mhm. Okay. Jackie, what about you?
For me, I would probably say my mom started living with me in 2018.
Mhm.
So prior to that, and I vaguely remember, but and listening to you guys, I think like 2017, I realized because we lived in different states, and when I went back home to visit, as I normally did, I took her to one of her doctor's appointments because tried to schedule some of my visits based on her doctor's appointments because she's 88. So she was getting older, and because I was here in Atlanta and she's there in DC, I wanted to kind of feel like I was still involved. We went to her doctor's appointment and we're driving. And I said, okay, Mom, where's your doctor's office? She said, oh, okay, I know where it is. We're driving and driving. I mean, literally, we drove an hour.
Oh, wow.
And she says, I don't know. I think it's around. And I said, okay, well, what's your doctor's name? And I remembered, and then we got back to the doctor. So for me, that was my moment to discover, yeah, this may be it. At that time, she was living with my brother, and he had kind of was discussing some things that were going on, just her different demeanor, what she was doing. So I didn't know, and I don't think he really knew either, except for I think as time went on, that's how we just kind of discovered that that's what it was. It was hard. It was difficult because I'm like, wow, oh, okay, this is different. This is really different. And
Yeah, but didn't you also like, you kind of notice changes, but you don't have a clue what to do?
right.
Like, no clue. Like, what am I supposed to be doing with this? And people are like, you got to do this, you got to do that. And then, but your mom won't let you do anything.
Exactly. You know, because
she's still the mother.
she's
Right.
right.
Yes.
And she still thinks that she can do these things.
And to a certain extent, as the daughter, you still kind of feel like, am I able to do these things now?
Yeah.
You know, can I take this control? But yeah.
Right. So how long did it take y'all to get an official diagnosis of Alzheimer's?
For my mom, it took almost 2 full years.
Wow.
Yep.
Why was that?
One of the specialists we finally saw said that people who are socially connected, who are college educated, who have a lot of activities are really good at hiding it. They come up with tricks. I saw her introduce herself from a water bottle. So she would carry a water bottle and she would put her name tag on it with her address and her name. And I saw her introduce herself by reading it off the water bottle. So she had come up with tricks and things, and man, she was stubborn too. So like she would fight it. And my mom also had aphasia, which messes with their speech. So it was hard to tell if it was aphasia related or if it was more than that. It was really hard to tell, quite honestly. How about for you two?
I actually can't remember how long it took. I just know that I took her to the doctor here, and they pretty much just by talking to her without giving a test or anything or a really full assessment, they were like, I think she has mild cognitive impairment. Fast forward maybe like 6 months or so, she was going to stay with my brother in Ohio over the summer. And he decided to see what a doctor there would say. And they gave her a more in-depth analysis and tests. And so that's when it was officially put on paper.
Yeah, and this is Jackie. And for me, I don't know the official date either, but I know once she got down to Atlanta with me in 2018, when I requested her medical records from the doctor, it had on there that, yes, it had on there dementia, her age, and all the medications and her medical history. She didn't tell me. And at the time, like I said, you know, she was living with my brother, and I'm not sure whether he found out when he took her to the doctor or what. I would say, yeah, 2017, it was written on her medical records. From that point forward, that's when, thank God, I met, I already had known Markysha, but we started talking about our moms. And she was telling me what she was going through. And I was like, that's what I'm going through. And she pointed me in the direction of a wonderful facility here.
Okay. Okay.
That is now helping our mothers both. It's been great. So yeah, that was my first discovery, my first encounter.
Markysha and Jackie, it sounds like the two of you are getting really great help from this facility. And I know that Jennifer gets some help with her mom from the healthcare system. What was that journey like for the three of you going through the healthcare system and trying to get the assistance that you all needed or the medical attention that your moms needed?
I think it was kind of difficult. And I'm going to say the reason I say it was difficult is because I think I was nervous about it,
Mhm.
if that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely.
Because like I was telling Jackie before I introduced her to the facility that they go to now, I used to always try to kind of shield my mom and myself to a certain extent with the questions that are going to come, because she was just going to like a regular general practitioner, but like gerontologist. I'm thinking that they probably are used to older people having these issues, but the way that they would talk to her, or it would be so matter-of-factly as if they would get frustrated if she was asking a similar question again. And then I'm getting frustrated and I'm trying to interrupt and answer the questions for her, but it was causing a lot of stress on my end. It wasn't until I was just doing a lot of research and I found, I guess I could say, so we go to Emory Hospital here in Atlanta, and their memory care center was having a lot of different symposiums on Alzheimer's. And so I actually went to those, and, you know, it would be like an all day kind of thing. And they had the experts in their field that were there who could answer different questions. And then I was like, well, maybe my mom needs to go there. I mean, at the time, I didn't know how we were going to do this. So I was like, if we can do trials, or, you know, she could become a patient. And so once I contacted them, it became so much easier because they were used to these people, you know, people who were battling the same issues. And I wasn't as stressed anymore. I just didn't feel as if they understood her.
And for me, Markysha just basically said the same thing that I was going to say. It's just sending her to a regular doctor. I felt that I did have to shield her and have to almost answer the question for her to protect her when the doctors asked her a question, and for general practitioner. It was working and I thought it was okay, but I didn't realize that was not what we needed.
It wasn't enough.
It wasn't
Right.
enough.
Mhm.
And I actually needed someone to understand her as well as take care of her medically, if that makes
And
sense.
understand you.
Yes, and understand
Yeah.
me. And with Emory, it's like the whole complete package. It was just
Oh, wow.
a no-brainer that this is where she needs to be. This is where we need to be because they've helped me too.
Mhm.
That's so great that the two of you have
Each
that
other
resource.
and Emory. I'm
Yeah.
jealous. Yeah, it didn't, for me, it was kind of awkward because although my mom and I both live in Michigan, she lived in Kalamazoo. When we went to those first doctor appointments, I felt exactly the same way. I felt like this doctor is being really short with my mom. They're not really treating her very nicely. But by the time we got to the specialist and he did those cognitive tests, when he came out to tell us that she had Alzheimer's, he cried and then told me the story of his grandfather with Alzheimer's. So I felt a lot of, I guess, love and care from him, but I needed my mom to be in Ann Arbor. So when I moved her here, my doctor wasn't picking her up. And the other thing that I did was I read this book from Dr. Dale Bredesen that's called The End of Alzheimer's. And it's about how diet, nutrition, all of that affects the brain. So early on, I did get my mom enrolled in that program, and we did a complete diet change and supplements and all kinds of things. And I think we were actually seeing some real progress. And then the weirdest thing, this doctor's office just shut its doors and closed overnight.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It was strange, which makes you think there's something not quite so good going on there, right?
Did you find out any more information about him afterwards?
No, through the program, you can find an affiliate doctor. So I found another doctor who was doing the same program, but it didn't fit. It wasn't like, it didn't feel good. So we didn't end up going through with it, but I did end up putting my mom into a home for a short period of time, and she probably would have stayed there. I was really happy with her care. They had a all-day daycare that she actually had been going to for 3 months prior to me actually putting her in the home. But when COVID hit, all the daycare programs stopped. And then eventually the residents were in their rooms all by themselves, and I was having a really hard time with it. I cried like every night. And finally I talked to my boss and I said, I think I'm going to go get my mom. And he was really supportive. So I've been blessed that I was able to bring her home, and she's been home with me since July of last year. She was actually in the home for about 3 months. I've asked hospice to assist, and I feel like we've gotten really great care with hospice because they do seem to understand the subtleties of the disease. Like one time I told them that I felt like every once in a while I feel like my mom is getting better, and I get all this hope and I'm like, oh, she's getting better, I'm all excited. And then it crashes and she gets worse than ever before. Mm-hmm. And the nurse with hospice is like, that's exactly what people describe. And it happens again and again and again until finally. Have you both experienced that? Like you feel like she's getting better and then.
Yeah, we're looking at each other because sometimes we say to ourselves, do they really have dementia?
Yeah, me too. Me too. I do the same thing.
Because there are times when she's on point and she can just dispute me down and tell me this.
Or sometimes even remember something that I told her yesterday or earlier in the day, which typically, would have faded, but yes, it's a very strange.
It really is.
Yes. And it makes you second guess. And, we went to lunch one time and, we always talk about them. And we both said, do you feel like sometimes they're faking? That it's not really, and it's because sometimes they remember, sometimes they don't. And sometimes she's on point and then other times she's not. But yeah, it's a strange disease.
Yeah. To get a little bit more personal too. So prior to my mom's diagnosis, I told you she was living with me. Like I said, I'm not quite sure what was going on mentally way before the diagnosis, but I just knew she's my mom. I'm going to take care of my mother, right? But at the time, she also had a drinking issue. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that was her way of combating different things that were going on with her mentally. So that caused a lot of tension. It was drinking to the point like where the bottles would be hidden in various places around the house. And then shortly after her diagnosis or something, she completely stopped drinking on her own accord. Mm-hmm. And it baffles me. She does not ask for alcohol. She could be around it, does not touch it. The brain is freaking amazing. Is all I can really say. She just cut it off cold, complete, like day and night. Like I would also say about like how she had the liberties to go and get the liquors or the beers, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, we took her keys away pretty early because her car stopped working. So we're like, oh, it just doesn't work anymore. We're not fixing it. But the fact that even if we went out to a restaurant, she wouldn't even ask for anything. That was just so weird to me. Right. Or if in a social environment, she just wouldn't even think about it. I can ask her, hey, Ma, you want a beer? No, I'm good. Where's the water? It's so many different things that I don't know. But being that she also was a nurse, if you guys know anything about people in the health field, anybody that's like my mother, they're quite stubborn. So, I mean, she will give you pushbacks on a lot of things, even to this day, like, why do I have to take meds today? I don't need them, I'm fine. Also, as her daughter, I did a lot of research on what could have caused these things. And it was pretty much everything that they listed, though, that they would need to improve upon to prevent from getting Alzheimer's. She was doing that a long time. I mean, every single thing from eating well, exercising. We played Jeopardy and Scrabble all the time. It's kind of like, I forgot the movie with the redhead, with Julie, and it was based on Alzheimer's.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. And I read.
Yeah. And that movie, I mean, it was just like her to a T. Like it just came out of nowhere because she was doing everything Right.
Yeah, I felt like my mom was too. She went to yoga twice a week. She went to Pilates once a week. She ate really well. I just couldn't figure out why she would get it.
Right.
You just don't know. Do
Right.
you find yourselves, this is the hardest part for me, is I find myself looking for a pattern of her behavior, and then I adjust to the pattern. And just as soon as I get adjusted and I'm feeling good, the pattern's not there anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that happens. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, and we have good days and bad days, good weeks. What I've noticed with my mom is, I don't know if this is with you guys, mom. Well, theoretically, she's always been a night owl. So she's always stayed up late, watched TV. But now she will actually fully stay up a full 24 hours. When that happens, all hell breaks loose. I mean, literally, it's to the point where she doesn't hear me, she doesn't see me, and that's when I have to rein in my backup, and my backup is my boys or my husband. And I don't know whether it's the mother-daughter thing or what, but when that particular incident happens, when she doesn't get her full night's rest and she goes on this binge of not sleeping, it's not good. I've learned to just back away and just let it be.
Okay.
Because I found, and I used to sort of try to fix it, not knowing what the fix it was, but realize that no, that's not the answer. So I just back off.
It sounds to me like, well, at least for you, Jackie and Jennifer, that y'all are not the sole caregivers. You have some family at home that help both of you. Markysha, is that the case with you as well? Do you have family at home that can help you with your mom, or are you the sole caregiver?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the sole caregiver. I do have 2 older brothers. One lives in Atlanta. He's going to see this, and I love him. No, I mean, it's okay, but he doesn't help out nearly as much as I think he should. Okay. I mean, he can have the liberties to have the excuses of I have to work. I'm just not going to be able to come and get her at this time. There was a period of time where I would butt heads with him in regards to that and say, because he would even say, she's my mom too, especially when he was kind of pitching in more, like she's my mom too, so you don't have to thank me. But it seems as if that frequency is not as much as it used to be. Yeah, that's
difficult
hard part. But luckily, I mean, I'm always trying to kind of find silver linings here. So my mother is, even though she has Alzheimer's, luckily she does not need someone with her at all times. One of the great things that we did about 5 years ago was, well, actually it kind of found us, was a puppy came into our lives. We used to have a dog years ago, but I'm thinking I cannot take care of her and take care of an animal as well, and I'm not trying to train it. I'm not going through that. But when I tell you this dog was like heaven sent, because she came in already trained. Her personality fit ours like to a T. She loved going outside. And at the time, my mother used to just kind of sit and watch TV, the news all day. Once we got the dog, she's constantly like, let's take her outside and let's go outside. And so that dog has just really reinvigorated her life. It has given her something else to do and think about. But yeah, as far as the caretaking, there still are moments, and as we've, even this year alone, where I'm like, we might need to change it, where I hire somebody else to kind of help me because I cannot do it all. And even with me working from home at times, it's just very, very, very stressful. It's kind of getting to that point, but like I said, she's quite stubborn. So she knows the people that she knows. And so for a stranger to come into the house, I know there's going to be a lot of pushback with that. I'm trying to see if a friend or 2 or 5 can We've not solidified that as of yet, but
get a village.
Yes, to really use it. She could use it because that's another thing. Like my mother, even though she was quite social, she was the first of her siblings to move away from the hometown that they grew up in. So it was kind of like Atlanta was, you're creating your own families. It's not like we can just go to family and say, hey, going over to your brother's house now.
Tell me a little bit about being able to get the help that you need from the healthcare system. I don't know what is provided or what is accessible or even what is out there for you all to avail yourselves of as far as help for caregiving for your moms.
It's tough,
You know,
Raquel. Let me give you
with
a little rundown. When my mom was still at her house, we were hiring help because she had a boyfriend at that time and he would be home from work in the evenings. And we hired people to kind of drive my mom around to her activities and take care of her during the day, help her cook, help her not burn down the house, that kind of stuff, because she was still able to do all that at that point. And that care cost $22 an hour. If you want to have somebody spend the evening, stay overnight, you can pretty much double that. It's unreal. My mom was in a home for several months. I don't even want to tell you what that cost, but I will.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I will.
No sense.
It was $8,000 a month.
Oh my God.
$8,000 a month for her.
That's kind of like the low end.
Yeah.
You know, it really is.
And then
Does insurance cover any of that?
Nope.
No.
And then you start thinking, okay, the FDA just recently approved a drug that they probably shouldn't have approved. I mean, we can talk about this later, but that drug, if you want to pay for that for your mom, is over $100,000 a year. That will wipe a family out. It will wipe a family out, and it doesn't even work. They just want the money, Raquel. They just want the money.
With so many people, based on all the stats that you gave at the beginning, they understand this thing and that this is increasingly becoming a bigger problem. Families that they wouldn't be as money hungry anymore, but it's ridiculous.
It's an epidemic. Alzheimer's is an epidemic. They say that anybody over 80 has a 50% chance of getting Alzheimer's. So if we make it to 80, you have a 50% chance.
Oh my God.
And the early onset is like
early age
affecting people at an earlier age now.
That's what wipes family out is, I mean, how do you take care of the person? And then, like you were saying, it's so stressful. It's so stressful.
It is. I can't even imagine what if COVID wasn't here.
I know.
I can't even imagine what my stress level would be. Now it's low to moderate, and it's only low to moderate is because I have my sons and my husband. But trust me, if they weren't here, it would probably be my hit it's over the top. But it's low to moderate now because even though they do help, you still take on a lot being the daughter, But if it wasn't for COVID and me working from home, and I absolutely don't even know.
How could we do it?
Right.
I don't even want to think about it.
It was like the reality bubble burst for a lot of people.
And what was Raquel's statistics? 1/3 of the people taking care of Alzheimer's patients are their daughters. That's
over 1/3 of them are daughters.
Right.
Yeah.
Daughters who have jobs and children, and we're trying to work.
Right. So, and I apologize if this is a crazy question, but how do you all find a way to take care of yourselves, or are you able to take care of yourselves? You guys sitting in front of me, you're vibrant, you're put together, you're social, beautiful women. How do you take care of yourselves? I mean, is that even possible?
That's a great question.
Very little.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, looking at silver linings, the fact that my mom can kind of still be at home by herself at times. And when I'm able to then tell my brother, hey, look after her while I'm gone or just fill in, that's been helpful. my friends understand what I'm going through. I'm constantly receiving phone calls already. I've received like 3 since we've been here. And then I have one friend in particular who is just like amazing with helping me to release mentally. With me being a person who loves being outdoors and I love traveling, he knows that this is me and let me allow you or guide you in that direction as much as I can. And I'll take care of some of these things that I can handle over here. I thank God for people like that. It can be very hard when you're trying to juggle everything.
Yep.
Mm.
And I agree. You have to just be selfish and
Yes.
take the time for yourself. And that was hard for me in the beginning. And actually, my husband had to tell me, look, you need to just take a break or go in a car, drive somewhere, window shop, or do what it is that you want to do. But I just felt that I couldn't do it for whatever reason. Not that they weren't capable of helping with mom, because they certainly are capable because they've been doing it. But I guess it was guilt. I don't know. Or just, so I'm just now learning to do that. And I will escape and just go and say, hey, I'm going out. Or
yeah, just the other day, for instance, I did a staycation at the hotel. Raquel, I've told you about my staycations, but I did in my life just to separate myself from that environment.
Yeah,
I know she's going to be asleep at this time, and I'm going to just be in a peaceful place. And so I will do that. And my car knows all my secrets. I will sit in my car before getting into the house. And I mean, there's been times I've actually fallen asleep in the car, but I mean, it's just like, I have to get my mind right in order to walk into this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And being though my mom is not, so basically she can take care of herself, meaning bathe herself, still go to the bathroom, that sort of things, but she doesn't cook. Her duties are, and she recognizes that she needs to do something. So she will fold clothes. As far as getting out, doing any activities or walking she doesn't have a desire to do that. She used to be an organist in church. We got her a portable organ. She had no desire, which was strange. She looked at it as if, what am I going to do with this?
Wow.
And she was a renowned organist in different churches. It didn't click that this is what I used to do. That was her side hustle, so to speak. It did not click. So now her pastime is, watching, she loves sports. So she watches Sports Channel, Game Show Network, and she does crossword puzzles, but she's content with that, except for when she gets in her mind that she has to go home. And then we have to tell her, well, this is your home. That makes it kind of easy. We have had a couple of incidents where early on she escaped and called herself catching a cab to go somewhere, and she ended up somewhere, and thank God someone called and said, I have your mom. We got her back. So we've had a couple of those incidents early on. It's just a constant struggle, and it's when you do go out, it's like, okay, is she okay? Let me check the camera, because I have the camera on my phone. So it's, even when you're out and you think you're getting a break, it's still in the back of your mind.
Right. I had a similar incident to hers a few years ago, and my brother from Ohio tried to come down and take care of her for a couple of months there. And I was super excited, to kind of be free for a little bit. But when I tell you, it was the most horrific 3 weeks of my life, her life, everybody's life. My mother did it. The one good thing about being at my house is that she's familiar with the house. She's familiar with the neighborhood. She walks around it every day, several times. So now she's in this foreign place, although that's her hometown, and she recognizes my brother, but my brother would wake up at the crack of dawn to go to work. So she sees his wife that she's not that familiar with. So it's kind of like, who's this stranger? I'm thinking this is how she's seeing it. It got to the point where she would try to escape the house. She would go to a neighbor's house and tell them to call the cops. There was an instance in which she jumped into two strangers' cars and told them to take her to the police station. And it was just 3 weeks of absolute chaos. She didn't recognize the dog because we had given her the dog. At least these are some familiar things that she could have. Put
Yeah.
pictures up in the room. I'm calling her, but none of that helped. Yeah,
Been there.
She came back home rather quickly. And I mean, every day I was on the phone with them dealing with this and getting calls from police stations. You're just like,
Oh,
My mom never really did any of that. What she does do is she goes out the front door and she goes and sits in one of our cars. And she sits there, sits there, sits there, sits there, and then she gets out and she comes back in like she's gone somewhere. So at first we got really upset, but now we just let her do it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Kinda watch her from the window. We let her go out to the car. It's like a pastime for her.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is so strange with
It
Alzheimer's.
really is. I mean, but we are learning so much on how to be flexible, you know, with all of
Keyword,
this.
flexible.
Flexibility and patience is like, if you don't learn that with this disease.
The other day, my oldest daughter said, she was talking to some of her friends about Alzheimer's, and she said, the thing I wish people understood is they always say, well, she's just like a toddler, have her do art, have her do this. And my daughter said, she's not like a toddler. I tried to do art with her. She draws one line and then she gets up. There's no attention span. You can't get her to watch TV or put together a puzzle, or I think you used the word, Markysha, loop. Like they get caught in this loop and it just goes and goes and goes. Sometimes my mom will put on 5 pairs of pants, one on top of each other, and just keep putting clothes on and then diapers on top of that. And then and 5 jackets, and she'll have an apron over it. And who knows what she put in her hair. It's like, and it's this loop that doesn't stop. Like she keeps dressing herself over and over and over again.
My mom's is more of a security kind of thing.
Yeah.
Constantly, like she actually sleeps throughout the night very well, but if I'm up and the TV is on, she will get up and keep checking the doors or the alarm is on and asking me, are the doors locked? It's always a security thing. If if I were to look at her right now at the house, she's probably looking outside the window, seeing who might be coming. Everything with her is feeling secure.
That's interesting.
I can relate to the putting on clothes, and I'll go upstairs in her room and I'll go up, I know what she's put on for the day, for that morning or afternoon, depending on when she feels like getting up. And I'll go back up there later and she'll have on 3 shirts, 2 pair of pants.
Yep.
And her robe.
Yep.
And let's not forget the purse.
Oh yeah, the purse. And everything in the world is in the purse. My mom's purse is so heavy. I could carry
the purse. So
My
she's
mom,
gotta have the purse.
She doesn't carry the purse. She just has become squirrely. So she's still, one of the easiest outfits for her to wear as a former nurse is her scrubs. So I just buy her scrubs. They're comfortable. Yeah. You can coordinate it quickly, put it on. She puts everything in her pockets.
Yep.
It's crazy. To the point that
food.
Even when I was, yes. Oh my God.
Wrapped up.
Wow.
That's
my mom does that too.
Yes.
Toilet paper and wrap it up. It's terrible.
You find there would be mail. I had to actually get her mail like transferred to a PO box because that's her belonging. So why shouldn't she have it?
Yeah.
But when she would have it, you would just see these packets of stuff around her that she cannot let go of until I can get her to take a bath, and she might accidentally forget to put those back on.
Yeah.
We have discussed toilet paper.
Oh, the toilet paper drives me crazy.
Oh my God.
I have gone through so much toilet paper.
I even asked her PA, but she's just like, it's all paper products. They don't know what it is. They don't know if it's like, just something that they touch that is familiar with them. But oh my God, they've run through some toilet paper.
To the point is in the bathroom that she uses, that she shares with my sons, we only put 1 roll of toilet paper in there. So it's the toilet paper holder that you can, like store toilet paper in it.
Yeah.
Nope, you put 1 on.
I learned that the hard way.
And we have to hide, the boys know where the stash is.
Yeah.
So
hey, our roll disappears. We'll go into the bathroom.
Yeah.
The roll.
Yeah.
I put in one roll at a time
Yeah.
too. I used to have the storage thing, but then she would take those and hide them somewhere.
Yep, my
So
mom.
when she's walking the dog, it's my time to
To
go
go
through
searching.
her stuff to look for stuff.
Yep.
Right. But
Wow.
I then learned
Oh,
I need to
it's
keep
crazy.
toilet paper in my trunk, but now I keep it under the bed so that when my brother comes by, he can just readily give her a new one. But I also do not buy the good stuff anymore. The Charmin, no, because that stuff is expensive. She gets one ply and it lasts so much longer. It lasts
One
so
ply
much
for you.
longer. And I put that one roll in there and
Let it
it's
go.
been so much better.
My mom also steals everybody's toothbrushes and everybody's deodorant. So
Yeah.
I'm constantly, where's my toothbrush?
Yes.
We all lock our doors now.
Mhm.
I've not gotten to that point. A friend told me about doing that. I've
We
not
had
gotten
to.
to that
Yeah.
point, but I might.
I haven't, but yeah, she will borrow the boys' toothbrush. They it's so fun. Oh, grandma's got my she used my toothbrush. I'm
She
like,
will take
okay,
the toothbrush,
yeah.
We've
roll
not
it
got
up
that.
in saran wrap, and then put it in the drawer with the silverware. So you open up the silverware drawer and there's a toothbrush, saran wrap. The soap, she'll put it in a purse and put it in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised, although quite heartened that you guys find humor in this.
I have cried, I have fussed, I have cussed, I have done everything to the point now, and I'm finally getting into the mode where I'm just like, okay, whatever. Okay,
Wow.
take it and just throw it in the trash.
Same.
That's all you can do. At
You
this
know,
point.
she'll wrapped up food, it's all in her drawers where her clothes are. I was like, okay, you know
Oh, in
what?
the sleeves.
Yeah.
My mom is so
Yeah.
strategic
Yes.
with towels and
Yes.
stuff and putting
like,
it
you
in
know
the
what?
sleeves. So you're noticing the coats are looking a bit stiffer. And you're like, okay, what is this? But I only have 15 minutes before she comes back. So let me go through all of this and then act like everything is fine by the time she gets home.
Raquel, it's a constant mess.
You're constantly
It is.
having to stay on your
Picks up,
toes.
putting them back where they go, trying to find this, what happened to that. And I
Wow.
think in the beginning, one of the things I'm not super proud of is I yelled at her a few times, like really let go and was like,
Yep.
swearing, blah, blah, blah. I was so angry. But then one time I looked at her and I was like looking at her eyes and there's like no comprehension whatsoever. Just
And then you
hurt.
realize she doesn't, okay, she really doesn't know.
Right.
No
Right.
But
idea.
it's like but in that moment, I understand what you're saying. You're just frustrated and it's like, why aren't you listening? I said, I'm here to help you. Why aren't you listening to me? I said, I'm not gonna harm you. I wouldn't tell you to do anything to hurt you or anything. I know. Why you know? Why you not doing?
I still have my moments of blow ups. I mean, just completely honest.
Yeah,
Because
I know.
sometimes it's just like, I can't deal. But then I come back and I'm like, she is not doing this intentionally.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't think.
No.
Are any of you part of a caregiver support group?
I used to be actually. That was through Emory.
Mhm.
And this was pre-COVID. It was a great environment to be in with people who have similar situations, you know, and you're able to vent about your issues. But I didn't really feel like I was getting anything out of it except for being in that environment. And I think to a certain extent that can be helpful though, because sometimes you do feel, being that I'm one of the sole caretakers, that I'm doing this by myself. But I didn't really feel it benefited me. Like I heard their stories and I knew that I wasn't alone and that we're all struggling and everybody's on different ends and parts of the spectrum. But I just kind of stopped going. But I do think it can be helpful for some people.
Well, for me, early on when we got introduced to Emory, I joined. It was like a 6-week caretaker class or session, I should say. And it just taught you all about what to expect as a caretaker from them having dementia. I think that was enough for me to get all that I needed, the basis for me to kind of carry me on. Once we got connected with our doctor, our PA and everything, all that started coming back saying, oh, okay, this is what they talked about. And she was basically saying the same thing. So it brought the connection for me, which was great. But for me, at this point, I didn't need it. Not to say that I won't go back.
Right. And I did the same program, but before her.
Mhm.
And by that time, I had already kind of been in the thick of things. So it was just kind of reiterating what I was already going through. Back to the regular support, I do think they are good for resource. There was one lady there who actually would try to find humor in her father's situation. And so she had a blog on that. And I was just like, now this is a neat way to look at it, you know, just to kind of lighten it up. And then just people who know about elder care or different ways to help pay for different things, a loophole. I think for resources like that, it was very helpful.
What about you, Jennifer?
I don't belong to any support group, but we've had hospice for probably 8 months now, and they send someone twice a week to bathe my mom. That has been huge for me because that was the time when we fought the most, when I would like try to get her out of her clothes and into the shower. And I'm not squeamish, but looking at your mom's naked body over and over again is, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not your mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want her to be clean. She deserves to be clean.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just so much easier for the nurse to bathe her. And then we have another nurse that comes once a week. I find her to be so helpful because I will ask questions about my mom's medical state. She hasn't been eating very much. And in the beginning, I used to try and force my mom to eat. I'd be like, you have to eat, you have to eat, you have to eat. And my mom hardly eats at all anymore. My mom also was not sleeping through the night. And I finally said, should I be giving her something? And they gave me a really small sleeping pill for my mom. And since she's been having that sleeping pill through the night, she's in a much better mood. She's so much nicer during the day because in the bags under her eyes, she's still older, but she looked so tired. She looked exhausted. So I think the little bit of controlled sleep, I only give her one right before bed, but she was wandering all through the house all night long, turning on lights, moving laundry, folding things, putting dishes here, there, everywhere, stealing toothbrushes, whatever she was doing it. So I think even though it's not a support group, they have been through Alzheimer's so many times that they're a really good resource to ask questions to. I just like having them because I know my mom is going to pass, right? And I don't know what to do. And all I have to do is call them and they come take care of everything. Yeah, I'm kind of happy to have hospice because I'm a little bit like every once in a while, have you ever done this when your mom is still sleeping, you've gone out there and you're like, is she breathing?
Yeah.
And I have such mixed feelings because I'm like, you don't want your mom to suffer, right? This is not a beautiful disease. This is terrible. So sometimes I have all this heart and I'm like, okay, mom, it's okay to go. And then the minute I think she's dead, I'm like, don't leave me, cry. And then I'm like, it's okay for her to go. And then I'm in tears and I just, it's so hard.
Yeah. I find myself, she sleep, I'll check on her. I just make sure she's breathing. It's the same, like hovered over them to see if they were breathing.
One who doesn't have kids, that's all so foreign to me, you know, having to step into this role. It's just crazy, the role reversals. But another thing that's been a godsend is CBD oil for my mom. I read so many things on how cannabis could be beneficial, but still didn't really know what the proper dosage for her, you know, because I'm not into that. But I looked up earlier this year and I was on an Instagram page and somebody responded on his page and said how he's been using a certain concoction for his grandmother and his aunt. And so I wrote him offline and I was like, hey, can we talk? And he was very knowledgeable. And since then, I've been giving her a droplet of this 80% cannabidiol and 20% THC, because if you get into that, we'll be here all day. But I find that to be so helpful when she does have her loops. It just calms her down, totally calms her down, you know? And I mean, because she can get really anxious at times.
Oh, yeah.
But then I'll say, hey, mom, let's take your liquid vitamin. But being the nurse, she's like, what liquid vitamin? Let me read it. But the actual vial is pretty generic, but it says doctor something on it. And it says some verbiage that she remembers as a nurse. So she'll take it. And it's been so helpful.
Yeah. I've given my mom CBD. I think the same thing. It really helps with the anxiety, but I'm feeling really jealous of you because number one, that you have each other. I'm like so jealous. But
Well,
number
now we have you too.
Yeah.
but number two, my mom can't say a sentence like that. She's not able to communicate. For a while, we could figure out what she meant with certain, she'd say red when she wanted her red blanket. We don't even have a clue what she's saying anymore. My mom has aphasia too. So I'm thinking your mothers are probably not going to have that speech impediment happen. That was something that happened in her brain as she was getting the Alzheimer's. It affected the part of the brain that gives you aphasia.
So are any of you afraid that you might also develop Alzheimer's at some point?
It's the biggest fear,
Horrible.
Raquel.
It is.
It's horrible.
And I mean, you read all this information about how it travels within the women's side and the mitochondria, and you're more apt to getting it, and don't have any kind of slippage of
No.
your memory. You're just like, is this a sign?
Yeah.
Yep.
You take yourself down this rabbit hole, like, okay, is this happening to me?
Mhm.
And don't have children that say, Mom, you just asked me that. Oh, you just said it. And I'm saying to myself, oh my
Or friends
God.
that say that. And I'm like, did I really say that? We still don't know how my mom developed it. But of course, I mean, that's one of the scariest things we don't know.
Yep.
And I'm afraid to actually get the test done.
Oh, there's a test.
Well, they're depending on what kind of Alzheimer's they have, you can determine if you have, what is it? I don't know if it's a
Maybe the
gene.
markers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd rather actually not know right now.
Yeah.
Because the way that my mind works is that if I find out that I do have it, I'm going to constantly think of it even more so than I already am.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why?
Raquel, there are some types of Alzheimer's that are hereditary and there's
Mhm.
some types that aren't.
Mhm.
And there are genetic markers. There's a APO gene that causes Alzheimer's, but some people have that gene and never get Alzheimer's. But the people who have Alzheimer's, the hereditary type, almost all of them have that gene. It is a marker for sure. My mom does not have the type of Alzheimer's that's hereditary. That's the first question I asked. I mean, talk about selfish. I was like,
Right.
shit, am I going to get this?
What did they do to determine that it wasn't the one that was hereditary?
I don't know, but that's the question I asked. I'm sure it's the genetic markers. When I took my mom to Dr. Bresidon's program, they checked so much. I have a file like this thick of all the genetics that they did on her. I really do think that there's something to that research. They believe that Alzheimer's is the third type of diabetes, that it
Wow.
that it is connected somehow to our, how do I explain this exactly right? It's connected to our insulin resistance.
Mhm.
And the one thing my mom did do or did have, even though she led a healthy lifestyle, is number one, she drank Diet Coke like it was going out of style for most of her life and then got clean. But my mom was definitely a sugar addict. She loved sugar. I also love sugar. And so I think about that sometimes. Raquel, this is you probably hit on the hardest question for someone whose parent has Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
Start to second guess everything you do. Like, do I
Right.
get enough exercise for my brain? Do I eat too much sugar? Is up my kids' names? Is my brain dying? Every time I talk to one of my kids, I call them by the wrong name. Every single time. It's like, what's wrong with my brain? And sometimes I'll mix up my words like my mom does. And I'm like, oh my God, do I have aphasia? You can't help it. How could you not
You
help
definitely
it?
start second guessing yourself
Mhm.
and wondering, okay, am I going through this or is this an early sign and what should I do? That's a good point. Jennifer, you asked and the doctor, is this possible, for me to get, or, do I have the same gene? I never even thought about asking.
That was my first question.
Yeah, I keep getting mixed information on
Oh,
that.
really? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just like, how can I find out definitively?
Let me tell you how you can find out if you want to know, and you don't
Mhm.
have to. Do the 23andMe test. Have your mom also do it. Have her spit in a vial. What they can do is there's actually a test you can pay for that will tell you if you have the gene.
Oh, okay.
Ladies, is there anything that gives you hope?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what gives you hope?
I mean, I don't have hope that my mom is going to get cured. She's
Okay.
not going to get cured.
Right.
I mean, every once in a while, I think she's going to get cured, but not really. Just like we could get hit by a bus tomorrow. We could get Alzheimer's. We could have cancer. We could have anything. I guess the biggest lesson to me is like, live your life in the moments that you have. My biggest regret for my mom, and I would like to hear yours also, but my biggest regret is my mom kept waiting. She kept waiting to retire. She kept waiting to travel. She saved all her money. And then she got Alzheimer's, so she didn't get to go anywhere. If you can figure out how to travel, travel. If you like to go camping, go camping. It's not hope, Raquel, it's life. It gives you life. Live your life. You don't know what's going to happen to any of us.
Right.
Yeah.
Live every moment in the
Right.
moment.
Yeah. We don't know what tomorrow brings,
No.
period. She didn't see this coming. Just to piggyback off of what you said, I really feel that, I don't know if selfish is the right term, but I really do feel like I've tapped into listening and doing what I need to do more.
It's not selfish. It's
Yeah.
self-love.
That is true. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of equate it to, you know, when you're on the plane and they give you the
Yep.
safety
Mask,
rules.
yep.
Yeah, like I have to take care of myself too. I mean, there's still moments where I feel like I'm going to explode, but it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. Again, I thank the Most High that she is able to still kind of be independent to a certain extent, so that I am able to have a little bit more freedom. And also another thing is hers hasn't progressed as much as we thought it would. 7 years since she's been diagnosed.
That's a blessing.
Yeah. So I'm just always just looking for the silver linings and the support, that even the little bit of support that comes my way. And yeah, keep trying to live.
Yep. I couldn't agree more with both of you. I'm just learning to take care of myself and just basically do what I want to do.
Yes.
And that means if I feel like going out, or if I feel like going to dinner, or wherever I feel like going, or taking a quick trip, I'm actually going to do that. Mom has lived a full life. She's always been active and doing things. She's at a point now where she likes to go. So we'll get her in a car and just drive her somewhere. And then we get back, you would have thought that she has been on a world tour.
That's awesome.
So she is thanking you and
Yes.
is appreciating and just the idea of her getting out. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that she's still able to do some of the things that she can do. She's not as mobile as Markysha's mom, but you know, God puts on you what you can handle. And in your situation where you're kind of solo taking care of your mom, it's good that she can still do those things that she can do. In my case, my mom needs a little more help with stuff, but I have the help. So it kind of works out. That's the beauty of it. What I'm hopeful and prayerful for, that she just continues to remember us, us meaning the immediate family.
Yeah.
And my family, my brother's family, just even the extension of my cousins, because she was a baby girl, and her older sister just passed away in July. So of her siblings, that's it out of 7. My hope is that she just continues to remember us, can call our name. And what makes me happy is when she goes to the doctor and they ask her what her name is and her date of birth, she can tell you. That to me it brings me joy. I almost want to cry every time that she does it, because I'm like, she's still not, and she says it and knows it emphatically, like she doesn't have dementia.
Yeah.
And my phone number, and only my phone number.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And you know what? My mom does. She does. Because when we had those episodes a couple of years ago, she knew my phone number to call. And she would tell whoever she ended up with my daughter's phone number.
Yeah.
All of you have such a great attitude about all this. And I know that it's hard won and that did not come easily. I just have to say that I'm in awe of all three of you. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. Is there anything that you all want people to know or to understand about Alzheimer's that we haven't already talked about?
For me, what I try to do on my Facebook and Instagram is I try to keep it really real, because I want people to know it's neither all good and it's neither all bad. There are beautiful moments. Sometimes I have a moment with my mom and it is worth everything because she's my mother. And some days are horrible. And it is neither all good nor bad. It's life. It's up, it's down, it's all around. And I post those things not to get sympathy. I post them so that other people understand, and hopefully it helps somebody as they're going through something similar or even something completely different, if the words can somehow help. And I also do it for myself because it's cathartic to tell the story. And the beautiful moments make everything worth it, I think.
I agree.
I agree too. And I wanted to thank you for your posts. I remember when Raquel first connected me to your Instagram, and I was reading your things, and I came back to the office the next day. I was like, it's like she's in my head. Like, we're having the same experiences. This is crazy. Again, sometimes you can feel like you're alone in this. Also, I mean, she and I have discussed this, like not seeing other women, Black women especially, share their story is very important too, because again, we need that representation and to see what we're all going through, possibly, Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's some very interesting and can be funny moments. And then there can be some where you are just like stripped to your core and you're just like, how am I going to handle this today?
Yep.
Or at this moment? Because usually it's a moment.
Yeah.
But you're remembering this and they have forgotten about it.
I'm just trying to celebrate the good moments, because there are some not so good moments, and recognizing that what I have to keep in my mind is that what is taking place and what she's doing or not doing, she really doesn't know. She really doesn't understand. But in the moment, it's frustrating and you get frustrated. And I would like to tell everyone out there that it's okay to be frustrated. It really is. Know it's for the moment, you're in the moment, and you move past it.
And to forgive yourself for
And
it.
absolutely.
That's been the hardest.
Yes, definitely forgive yourself for, because there were times where I know that it was not a good moment for me. It was not a good look for me, as they say. And I beat up myself for that.
Yeah.
I had to say, okay, that was me in a moment, just like it was her in a moment. So I have to forgive myself. And it's okay. And it's okay for you to just step back and say, I'm actually not going to do anything right now. If she wants to not eat or not take a shower or not do something,
It's so hard.
it's okay.
It's so hard.
You know what? If you want to, this is day 5. If you want to not bathe, all right. I'm just trying to help you.
So hard.
I'm just trying to help you smell good. That's all.
I kept telling my mom, you deserve to be clean. You deserve to smell good. You deserve. And finally, she kind of listened to me, but I think that's one of the hardest is the showers.
God.
Pulling teeth.
Whew. Yeah.
It's like pulling teeth.
And she's not going to let anybody else bathe her.
No.
She's not. I just know that's the hard part. That's why I'm jealous of you.
Okay, I'll take that.
Absolutely. So yeah, just celebrate the small things. Prayer helps wherever your almighty is, whoever it is. Just keep them first.
Oh, ladies, thank you so much for sharing your stories and being so open and just so genuine about all of it. I just know in my core that someone is going to be helped by you all sharing your stories. So thank you so much.
Thank
So,
you for
and thank
having
you
us.
guys.
Yeah, both of you for this.
Thank you.
Yeah, this subject matter. I mean, we both were very nervous about doing this,
Very nervous.
but we also realized how it could be so beneficial.
That was good. Thank you guys.
Thank
really.
you so much.
We're so welcome. Thank you. Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone for listening today. We will be back with more Madness Cafe next week. You can find us on Instagram at Madness Cafe Podcast or email us at madnesscafepodcast@gmail.com. Bye.